Good evening. We start tonight with allegations. Former President Trump got into a physical altercation with a Secret Service agent on January 6th. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Marnie Hughes. According to the former White House aide who testified today before the House committee, Trump tried to lunge for the steering wheel, demanding his security detail take him to the Capitol during the attack instead of to the White House. The former president tonight denying those accusations. Correspondent Tom Dempsey joining us from Washington, D.C. with the very latest and what else was revealed from Cassidy Hutchinson this afternoon. Tom.
Hey, Marnie. Yeah, this testimony about brand new allegations, and it really painted a picture of the former president knowing that some people in the crowd listening to his speech were armed with weapons on the morning of January 6th. And it told a story of the president apparently demanding to go to the Capitol after giving a speech to his supporters. This testimony came from the former aide to the chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and it involved details of things she allegedly witnessed or heard secondhand about the president's actions that day.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Tuesday's hearing in front of the special House committee investigating the January 6th riot featured witness Cassidy Hutchinson, a former aide to former President Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows. Lawmakers listened as she recalled details from that day and heard radio calls from police describing some supporters being heavily armed.
I got 3 men walking down the street in fatigue while carrying AR-15.
Hutchinson told the committee Trump knew of the threats in the crowd, but kept up his call for them to march down to the Capitol to stop the 2020 presidential electoral votes from being certified.
We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here we're going to walk down to the Capitol.
Perhaps the most explosive allegation of all the hearings, when Hutchinson described what she was told by another aide about what allegedly happened inside the president's motorcade between Trump and a Secret Service agent.
The president said something to the effect of, "I'm the effing president, take me up to the Capitol now." To which Bobby responded, "Sir, we have to go back to the West Wing." The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, "Sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel. We're going back to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol." Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel. And when Mr. Renato had recounted this story to me, he had motioned towards his clavicles.
That fury carried over into the White House when Hutchinson described the president's alleged reaction to an interview then Attorney General Bill Barr gave to the Associated Press, saying there was no widespread election fraud.
I first noticed there was ketchup dripping down the wall, and there's a shattered porcelain plate on the floor. The valet had articulated that the president was extremely angry at the Attorney General's AP interview and had thrown his lunch against the wall.
Tuesday's hearing offering details of moments leading up to the attack on the Capitol.
We were watching the Capitol building get defaced over a lie. And it was something that was really hard in that moment to digest, knowing what I had been hearing down the hall and the conversations that were happening, seeing that tweet come up and knowing what was happening on the Hill. And it's something that I still struggle to work through the emotions of that.
And Marnie, tonight the former president has denied these allegations. He posted to his social media platform, Truth Social, saying he hardly knew this woman who testified earlier today. And he called that story of the steering wheel and the alleged incident that happened inside the motorcade. He said the details of that were sick and fraudulent. He brought up that food throwing story and said it's a false story. The next hearing for this committee is later in July.
Tom, what else are you hearing on Capitol Hill tonight? Have any of those who are directly involved corroborated what she testified today?
Yeah, that's the very big question tonight, Marnie. And two things we want to mention with all this. Jamie Raskin is a member of the special committee. He was asked about this hearing and the testimony after the hearing that happened, asking if there was any corroborating evidence to back up these women's claims. And he told reporters, he said that he knew of no information that they have heard that corroborates this so far. And also, NewsNation spoke to a Secret Service source on background background, saying that at least 2 employees of the Secret Service are willing to testify that reach inside the motorcade and Trump allegedly lunging towards this Secret Service agent. They're apparently saying that never happened. So again, there's a lot of questions going on around tonight, Marnie, and we're hoping to sort through all of this in the days ahead.
All right, Tom Dempsey live in D.C. tonight. Tom, thank you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.